Well, London, thank you so much for coming on Unboxed.
Thank you so much, Jordan, for having me.
Oh, it's so exciting. We've been just talking, right, how it feels like it's overdue. We obviously connected on LinkedIn. I've been a fan of your content for so long. It's amazing how, you've grown over the years. You've built such an incredible platform. And so, yeah, it's exciting to kind of just dig into that really and hear more about yourself, your story, how you do what you do so brilliantly, how you're so consistent. I'd love to get into it all. So I guess to start off, right, you've been one thing that I think you've posted about before on LinkedIn, and I've known about you, is you've been making content since you were so young, right? Since I think you were like 15 years old or so.
Yeah. I mean, I've always been into content, but only started taking it seriously in 2015. So, I was 21. I was 21 when I literally saw a post from, I don't know, like Daily Mail or something. And it was like Logan Paul charges $50,000 for one post. And that was my first glimpse into like the influencer creator world and what they were making. And at the time I was making $25,000 a year at my video job. So I was like, there's that type of money in content creation, right? That was my first glimpse. And then I'm like, I got to start a YouTube channel. I just got to, I was kind of filling out my creativity, had no idea what to do. It's been a long time coming. Nobody watched my stuff until 2020. It took 5 years to get anybody to watch anything.
Okay, that 5 years, right? You hear on the show, obviously very privileged to speak to a number of creators, and they all talk about that period, right? There's no escaping that time, right? You have to put that graft in. What was it like for you during that 5 years? Was there a day, that you ever see that chart? I think it pops up on LinkedIn quite a lot, where it's like the day you quit, and then after that day it all goes up. And if you don't quit, obviously you have that chance, but if you do, then you'd never know. But what was it like for you in the times when it was kind of difficult to feel like you could keep going through such a long period of time?
I didn't even have the mindset. I didn't know what it really took. I was just willing to keep posting and keep iterating. And I think the thing that got me to where I am today is my ability to pivot. So I think a lot of people hit this crossroads where nothing's working in their life and they give up and go try something else. For me, it's just making small little pivots and iterations to try to, get what I really want to have happen work.
Yeah. And when was the first pivot that you made? Like, do you remember the time when you were like, right, this isn't working? What wasn't working? And then how did you move into something that did?
So I was into action sports. So I was trying to film longboarding, snowboarding, skydiving. That was kind of the trend on YouTube back in 2015, 2016. I quickly realized that wasn't my thing. And I was like, I think I just need to be more of an idiot online, more of a comedian, more funny. And so then I started getting in front of the camera. That was my first pivot. My first comedy online was titled, I Blew the World's Biggest Bubble. And so in the video, I pop in a few sticks of bubble gum, and then I chewed bubble gum for 5 minutes and never blew a bubble. And it just like pissed off millions of people. That video on Unilad on Facebook got 80 million views. My name wasn't attached to it at all. So I was kind of like, even though I didn't get credit for it, that was my first glimpse into like, okay, maybe I can be funny. Maybe I can do this. And that was the first pivot.
When did things start to change and why was that?
So I got hired as a creative director at an ad agency in 2018. So I had a few businesses that I ran myself, ran those into the ground, failed horribly there, but learned a little bit of marketing, kind of got my video skills and video production skills up, got hired as a creative director at what's now one of the biggest ad agencies here in Salt Lake City. And that is when my mind shifted. This is how you can produce high quality content at quantity, right? I got to see online behavior, why people click on things, why people buy things from ads. I was writing ads, I was directing ads, I was acting in ads. And so I got to kind of see production at a large scale, and it was so easy for me to tone it down. So in what was the summer of 2019, I finally was like, I'm going to put the pedal to the metal and I'm going to go for, full-time content creation. So I started out by doing sketch comedy on Instagram. Instagram was obviously still really hot, but nobody was really growing at this time. But I was like, I'm going to make it happen for me. I'm going to get to 10,000 followers. That was just my goal. So one summer I wrote 100 comedies, and every single day we would film, edit, and post every single day for an entire summer. So this is just over 3 months, a couple days over 3 months. And I was so certain without a doubt that I was going to hit the 10K mark. That was just my goal. I just wanted to get that break. And I went from 800 followers to 1,200 followers. So I completely gave up. I was done with content. I went back to the ad agency, and I was just kind of ready to be an NPC the rest of my life, you know?
Yeah.
Then I'm on set directing a commercial, and this kid we hired walks in, and he's kind of a little bit larger than life, you know? And so we start chatting. I'm like, what do you do? And he's like, oh, I just hit 1 million followers on TikTok. And I had only seen those really corny ads that TikTok was running. Do you remember way back in the day?
Yeah.
I download the app that night. I go to his profile, and it's just a cringe fest, obviously. But millions of people.
The dances and all that stuff, or was it something else?
It was sketch comedy and dancing, but he was making fun of the dancers.
Right.
So I could not believe my eyes, because here I am. I just did 100 sketch comedies with like a full production.
Yeah.
And gained nothing. And here he is shaking his ass on TikTok. Winning. So I start looking into TikTok. March of 2020, it's March 1st. I go, I'm going to post 100 TikToks this month. That was the goal.
I hope you posted the sketch videos, right? Like those didn't go to waste on Instagram?
No, they didn't. And a few of them really helped me grow. Yeah. A few of them really helped. So yeah, I had a little bit of that content and just, you know, trying to figure out TikTok, starting to film on iPhone, things like that. And by I think it was like the last week of that 100 videos, I finally had a couple pop off, and I think I gained 100K in that first month on TikTok. So I was like, okay, maybe I'm not an idiot. Maybe I do have what it takes. I'm just going to ride this out. Ended up posting 3 times a day on TikTok for 1.5 years after March of 2020.
Okay, so there's quite a few things in there that I want to just dig into, right? So the first thing, creative director at a big agency over in Utah, right? So what were some of those things that you learned then in terms of, you know, you said you learned a lot about formatting, about, you know, why people watch content, some of the mechanics behind it. You know, what were some of those sort of tangible lessons, and what can people who haven't been in that position learn from that same experience from yourself? Love
that question. So we were taking on clients that were spending anywhere between $50,000 to like $150,000 on one video. So if you imagine that large of an investment, what if the ad doesn't work? What if it doesn't convert? You're out a pretty big paycheck. And some of these companies, that was like all of their budget, right? So what we did to kind of put a safety net so that we cover our asses and we cover theirs is we would shoot 10 intros, 10 hooks, right? So it's it's like one type of video. Let's say we're shooting like an old Western ad for, I don't know, a lotion or whatever. We would have the actor say 10 different hooks at the beginning of the script. So now they're getting 10 videos. So I'm like, when I'm doing TikTok, I had this one idea where I built an aquarium in the front of my Tesla. And I'm like, this is going to go so viral. Like, this is crazy. I literally filled up the car with water and put fish and all the plants in there. And I had fish living in my Tesla. The video did like 3,000 views. And had I not had that ad agency experience where we shoot different hooks, I wouldn't have shot 3 different hooks. I posted the same video 4 different times with 4 different intros where I was just saying something different. And like the third one, I think did 10, 20 million views.
Okay, so on your page, you just posted it multiple times, different hooks, and just on different days, see what happens.
Yep. Okay. I post them about a week apart. So in 1 month, I had 4 of the same video go up, just different hooks.
What was the differentiator in terms of a hook? Like, what is for those who are trying to make content that is gripping, and obviously, especially on TikTok, right? But on any platform, it's about hooking and keeping them there, right? Like, what is it that really defined a great hook for you? Like, what were the ones that worked versus the ones that didn't?
So at that time, I figured out my hook. I'm not saying this works for everybody, but I think everybody should try this. I was yelling to camera what I was going to do in the rest of the 20-second video, right? So the first hook of that aquarium video, I was just splashing water onto my Tesla, and it didn't work. The hook that actually worked was, I'm gonna make an aquarium in my Tesla. That was it.
Wow. Okay. And what else came from the agency experience? You obviously got the hooks. What were some of the other mechanics or the lessons around great content that you had to refine? And then what were the best things that you're still doing to this day?
Yep. So at the ad agency, we had a whole basically Bible for how we edit our ads. We called it the 10 commandments of our ads, right? And one of those commandments was a cut. So cutting, it was either every second or after every phrase, depending on the cadence of the ad we were shooting. So for example, when you look, even today, go look at my factor cap videos. Every single second, it's a cut in, cut out, zoom in, zoom out. And so what we found was it's just you're tricking the consumer's brain into thinking they're getting new information every time you cut.
And do you find that with that, do you think there's a trap ever that you almost set a standard where like everything is so intense and so quick and so punchy, snappy all the time? Like, does that translate into, I guess, the space for you to be able to try different sorts of content out? Like, do people then come to expect a certain thing from you that you can't get away from? Like, do you ever find there's a double-edged sword to that?
Yes, there definitely is. And I am in that crossroads right now where I'm in this complete rebrand, right? As you've probably seen on LinkedIn, I'm moving more into YouTube, trying to build out 10, 20-minute videos. I mean, like, thanks to you. And like, when I was introduced to you, I started really diving into what you and the Sidemen were doing.
Man, thank you.
I'm like, dang, that's really valuable content. And I can get to know all of your characters in one YouTube video. And if people want to get to know me on TikTok, they literally have to watch 100 TikToks. They have to watch 100 of these things. So
I guess even just to get the same amount of time, right, as you'd have in a
10 minutes,
in a regular
right?
long video. Yeah, for sure.
I am always okay to test either new styles of content of an idea I just made up this morning, or new editing styles. And we're finding little pivots that are working every day. So.
Yeah, but I guess that's your point, right? It's all about the pivot and making sure that you are constantly innovating, trying new things, testing hooks as a premise, right? Not just with hooks on videos, but testing content constantly, like always trying new things. And as you're saying, sometimes you have to, move away from one audience, surprise and delight a little bit, and then actually there'll be a pocket which really works, and that's the pocket to then dive into.
Right. Like, I had never done a food review, and this Korean hot dog place popped up at the corner of my house. And I'm like, one, I want to try it. Why don't we film it? And it went crazy. And people were like, yo, we loved this content. It was so fun seeing that. And so now every once in a while, we just go do a food review. You know what I mean? So had I not been willing to sacrifice low views potentially, I wouldn't have found that new mini series on my TikTok.
With your team that you have, like, how important are they to everything that you do? Who is in this team? What is the structure? And you said you've got the formula. Like, how important is it to like systematize your output and your content so that you can, churn out that level of frequency that's required to really build at scale?
Totally. So I just gave a keynote at a social convention, and that's why I was in LA yesterday. And I think we have to differentiate the two. I think if you're a novice content creator, you don't need a plan, you don't need a team, and you don't need a structure. What you need is tenacity and consistency. It does not matter what you post. It does not matter when you post. All that matters is that you're tenacious, you attack it, and you post consistently. That's all that matters. Once you get that down, like give me like 6 months to a year of that, then let's talk about your structure. Let's figure out how you can work less and make more content, right? So short form content, we only shoot once a week. So it's only for a few hours on a Tuesday morning or on a Wednesday morning. And what my team does for me is we have kind of 3 pillars of content. So we have like the myth busting, like the factor caps, we have the food reviews, and we have the ways to do different things, ways to eat a hot dog, ways to eat a hamburger, ways to put on your shirt, whatever it is. What they do is they scour the internet Monday and Tuesday to find the most liked things in those pillars. So for example, if we're doing, if we're busting a myth or a factor cap for, the more savvy TikTok consumers, they'll just go find the craziest TikToks that have the most likes, because what does that mean? It means it's a good hook. For whatever reason, people watch that video. We use that as a hook. I react to it and I try to myth bust. So they bring me about 10 of those ideas Monday night. I sift through them. I pick my top 3. We'll shoot 3 of those. Then they script out 3 ways to walk up the staircase. Okay, the normal way. How does a normal person walk up? How does a psycho person walk up the stairs? How does a serial killer walk up the stairs? And then I'll go act those out, right? So really, our system is still just finding the best hooks on TikTok. And if somebody's already done it, I mean, look at Kabi Lame.
Yeah.
He was just taking the best hooks on the internet and reacting to it, right? But he used 3 of my videos, and I go, that's when I kind of got what he was doing, because those videos he took had like 10 million likes sometimes, is when I was throwing spaghetti on my Tesla. Yeah. So I go, I want to do that, but I kind of want to challenge people on the internet. So if somebody's doing like a strength competition and it has a ton of likes, I'll do that strength competition, right? Just see if I can break 10 pencils or whatever. There's this kid who goes viral all the time because he can break things. So anytime he goes viral, we grab that clip and I try it, right? So we just look for good hooks. That's our system.
What is the most challenging video you've ever done? Like, what's the hardest? And also, what do you think is the worst video you've ever made, and also the best? Three parts to that.
So most challenging was, and it's a hybrid between my TikTok and my YouTube channel. So we were doing it for TikTok because we knew it was going to go viral, but we made a long form video of it. There's a mountain about an hour from me that's almost 13,000 feet. I just Googled one day who has the record for the highest Fortnite win, and there was nothing. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to set that record. So this is the most challenging thing I've ever done in my life, period. And we made a video of it. It's on my YouTube channel. We hiked an entire desk, an entire streaming setup, an entire computer to the summit of that mountain. And we hiked a satellite up there. And I got the world's highest Fortnite win. It went viral on TikTok. I got it, dude. It took 7 hours to get up. We started with 8 guys, 8 of my best friends. Only 5 were even able to make the hike. We each had about 50 pounds of gear on our back. And then it took, 7 hours up, 3 hours to get the win, and 5 hours to come down. And that was just the toughest thing I'd ever done in my life.
I mean, like, people see these things, they don't think of the logistics.
Yeah.
And then, worst video you've ever made.
Dude,
and why?
Worst video I've ever made.
Video, let's say one that's done really well, but you actually look at you know what, I would have done things differently.
That's such a good question. I mean, I challenge it a little bit because I look at my content at like the tools I had at that given point in time. All the content I look back on, I'm like, this is ass. This is kind of bad. But then I remind myself, well, London, you were using the tools and the knowledge that you had at that given point. And because you put that piece of content out, you are sitting where you are today. If you scroll to the bottom of my TikTok, every video is so cringy and bad. I hate them. I can't watch them. Sometimes they pop up.
Why they're at the bottom.
Exactly. So, let me think on that one, because
it's a good answer. It's a good answer. I like that.
Such a good question.
Yeah, but I think that's a really good answer. It's like, yeah, you look back, and that's the point, right? If you were looking back and saying, yeah, that video I made in 2018, that was really good, then how far have you grown now as a creator, right? Really. Right. So yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And then what's the video you're the most proud of?
The video I'm the most proud of, we just put out on our YouTube and TikTok, and it is astronomically flopped. There's a really famous TikTok family. They're called the McFarlanes. I'm sure you've seen some of their stuff. They do like a lot of dad jokes and dad content. So Dan McFarland, I think he's in his late 50s, early 60s. And his dream was to be a DJ. He wanted to play a set. He wanted to play a concert. So I linked up with a DJ in my local area, and we sold 1,500 tickets, and Dan got to play his very first concert. It, performance-wise, it was my worst YouTube video yet. But the way it made me feel in the moment that Dan was on stage performing in front of 1,500 people, and we were partying all together, having the best time of my life, made me realize that I think I figured out what I need to do on YouTube, because if it doesn't perform, at least my life changed because of what I was doing.
Right, so I want to dig in lastly to sort of wrap this up around like the future of the creator economy, some of your thoughts. Obviously, I'm sure you have a lot. You've been in this space so prominently now for a while, so would love to get your take. So firstly on you, like, where do you see, I know you touched on this before, but where do you see your channels going next? Like for YouTube, for example, what is your game plan to build that and grow it?
Yep. So game plan is just moving all my tenacity to YouTube. So we have our 3 pillars. It's helping people's dreams come true, gaming in epic locations, and just ridiculous challenges. So like an example is of a ridiculous challenge is I wore 50 shirts for 50 hours, you know, kind of that. As far as my content goes, after all this ban, or I guess my channels, it's like I need to use the attention I've garnered now to build something. So my mind works as a marketer. I'm a marketer at heart. I don't even necessarily, I can't consider myself an influencer, dude. I just like, I'm in the marketing world too much to do that. So right now I'm looking at, well, shoot, I need to build an ad agency and I need to be doing that on the side. And if I can fuel, because I mean, it's the Gary V model, right?
Yeah.
His personality fuels VaynerMedia, and VaynerMedia fuels his content, right? So it's like if I get the views here, if my personality's top of funnel, and they're just seeing my quirky, dumb, silly TikToks, and then they go, well, this kid's kind of cool. What do you do? Oh, I have an ad agency. And then they go, oh, I have a brand. And then I connect that brand to my ad agency. So we started that at the beginning of the year. We've only soft launched it. We only have 2 clients right now. But that's where I see it happening, because it is a perfect like incubator, right? If I get more clients on my ad agency, I have more money to put into my YouTube videos. And if I put more money into my YouTube videos, I can make better content. And if I make better content, I can get more clients to my...
Absolutely.
So just,
Right. What is your one piece of advice that you would give to a young creator who is starting out tenaciously today?
Yep. No complaining. 0 complaints. And this sounds so simple, but it's so deep when you think about it. I complained for 5 years. I complained for 5 years. And the second I just was like, I'm going to make this happen. I'm not going to be negative about it. If I get to 10,000, if I get to 100,000, great. I am going to enjoy the content I'm making with 0 complaints.
And then lastly, who is a creator? This question always stumps people, but I'm interested to get into it. Who is a creator that you are loving at the moment?
Airrack.
Easy.
He's
great.
Dude, he I almost like him for how he seems real.
Yeah.
He just seems like a real dude, like really enjoying his stuff. And then dude, obviously everything you guys are doing over there as well. Like I'm just looking up to all you guys. So one day. One day.
Amazing. Well, London, it's been an absolute pleasure. My friend, thank you so much for coming on Unboxed. It's been amazing.